My name is Jake Mcmahon. I'm Irish amateur boxing champ, four-time finalist, and Kate Taylor's nephew.
Fantastic. Firstly, Jake, what makes Katie, in your opinion, great?
I think Katie's great because first her mindset and dedication to the game is the best I've ever witnessed or probably ever will witness. The winning mentality, the way she would dedicate her whole life, works, eats, dreams, lives boxing. And I don't think there's many people that are like her in that way, in her mindset. It's phenomenal. Yeah.
For you, what sort of or how much motivation and inspiration do you get from Katie?
I don't think you can get any more motivated when you're watching Katie, how she's changed this sport, and the way she holds herself as well as a person behind all that. You think she'd nearly get cocky at one stage, but she's so modest and so down to earth. And it's the fact that she just loves the sport so much. It was never to do with money or nothing, but it's always just to love the sport. And I think that's very motivating, seeing someone at such a high level never dwindle from their character. Yeah.
Was she the reason that you got into boxing yourself, Jake?
Um, I wouldn't have say her individually. I think it was more family. Um, when I was growing up, the whole family boxed. So I had my uncle's box, me Katie box. My granddad was the coach. My dad started coaching. I had all my friends then joining, and I kind of just not even forced, but just kind of put into it, and I loved it from the very start. I'd say watching Katie then for growing up would have motivated me more and want to box at more of a higher standard, knowing that I'm trained beside her. I have the same coach as her. I have everything the same way. So why can't I get to that level? I think that's motivated me. Yeah.
Let's talk about the first two fights, first of all, against Amanda Serrano. In your opinion, firstly, how good were they? How technical were they? Just how good were they for the sport of boxing?
I think they're actually great watch for a casual watcher and sport of boxing because the skill behind Southpaw versus Orthodox, the powerful non-stopping Serrano who constantly comes forward and doesn't stop throwing, and then you have the speed and technicality of Katie. I think both their styles actually really like help each other in a very like entertaining way. Like I know so many friends that wouldn't be the biggest fans of boxing, but they thought it was an unbelievable fight. I think them two fights really elevated the sport of boxing. And even when they were co-main event for Jake Paul, I think again the average watcher got to watch that fight. That not many people that knew Katie would see be seeing this for the first time and going, these can actually box. These are warriors, and they're two of the toughest people I know. Anyway, I know a lot of male boxers. Anyway, well, after one or two of them punches, one of them cuts or one of them rounds, they'd be thinking, "Get me out of there." But they just kept plodding along, and I think a kind of it was already from the first fight it elevated it a level, but I think the second fight even elevated it another two or three. It was that great. So yeah.
Aside from the fact that you're related to Katie, do you think that Katie is the greatest female boxer ever?
Yeah, without I think first of all, I just have to look at the accomplishments she's done, the way she's trailblazed the sport. Um, like and this all honesty for me, I can't remember a time where I used to watch Pacquiao or Mayweather before Katie was a pro and see a woman's boxer. I didn't know a single woman's pro champion before Katie turned pro. Now I know every single one of them, even if they're not in the weights of Katie. Um, and then as an amateur, I think personally watching Katie elevate the amateur game as well, and then I always just thought it was normal to go and like spar girls in the club and stuff. And that when I listen back to people saying, "Oh, that wasn't normal. You wouldn't see girls in the club at the boxing club or whatever." That just shows how much it's improved from just one person alone, especially in Ireland anyway, where I'm from. There's so many girl boxers and so many brilliant ones as well. I don't think anyone has had such a big sporting impact as Katie has in the game, and then the accomplishments she's had as well. I've never seen an amateur boxer go, was it 12 years undefeated in major tournaments, and uh, it was nearly at one stage. It was the biggest shock when she lost in amateur, and that's not normal. So I truly believe that she's the greatest women's boxer of all time.
And outside of boxing, you mentioned LC in Ireland and all the young girls in the gym in Ireland. They've probably followed her footsteps and has seen Katie as a role model. Is Katie the greatest sports person out of Ireland ever?
I think we've had some great ones. I would say Katie's definitely up there. I've seen the impact of Katie more than any other sporting icon or athlete in Ireland. Anyway, like when it comes to football, like everyone was playing football or everyone was, but as boxing came, like it wasn't even in the sport. It wasn't even recognized sport in Ireland women's boxing. So I definitely say she's in the top two. I don't see anyone really competing unless I've missed someone out. Roy Keane would be up there as well as a sports person. Um, just because of his mentality, and I think his mentality is actually shown in a lot of Irish athletes. How it's that we go to win, we don't go to have kind of a laugh. We can have a little bit of a laugh or whatever, but it's the mentality. But I'd say she's definitely on the top two. I've never seen such an impact on a from a sport icon than Katie has.
You mentioned about obviously sparring girls in the gyms, just it being normal for you to see girls in the gym boxing, whereas it wouldn't have been maybe 10 years before you was in the gym. Does that just show how influential Katie is in the sport and also in your country? And do you see that firsthand how influential she is?
Yeah, I see it firsthand. I've been to many clubs, and one of the things I've actually seen loads of, which has been great, is like little girls, and they could be wearing a Katie top or like gloves from Rival or whatever, and you're just thinking like the amount of people she's actually influenced from this big surge of women's boxing in Ireland has been incredible. And I feel like at the start, I think there's more girls find their identity, but at the start, everyone wanted to box like Katie. Everyone fainted like Katie. Everyone threw the same combinations as Katie. Everyone was trained the same way as Katie, especially the girls. Um, and I feel like you could see that still in some of the in women's boxing in Ireland. A lot of them actually box very similar and they box quite like Katie. And obviously they have their own styles in their own way. But yeah, I think Katie has really elevated uh Irish women's boxing, especially the fact like that we're going away now and we're winning three golds and world championships, and we're like the Cubans in the male boxing. Like people fear the women in the Irish women. Um, so I think she has really elevated it. And yeah, I see the apparel and the shirts and the t-shirts and everyone wearing the same boots as her, and her May and her Bible verse on all the walls of a lot of gyms. I've gone to at least five of them where they've had them imprinted on the walls, and I think that's great as well. I just see her motivating so many people.
I want to talk about your times sparring Katie. Obviously, you watch her from afar outside the ring, obviously related to her as well, and you get that advice from her outside the ring. But in terms of in the ring, sparring with Katie, how much do you learn in there in terms of action?
Yeah, it's invaluable. The lessons you learn. She's definitely the best sparrer I've ever had, and men or women, she's unbelievable. The speed of her and the way she can adapt is, I don't think people realize how tough she is, and how much she can adapt and how she doesn't step away from a fight. She's not scared to take a loss to gain her reputation or to gain a legacy. There's been times where we've gone to spar, I might have got the better of her, and I'm actually thinking of sparring her in 2 days. I don't want to go in here now, and that's the mindset every boxer should have, but a lot of us don't. Um, and she and a little bit of advice. I've been away with Ross as well. I moved over for a month just to do a training camp, and he's been so good to me as well and helped me learn. And they've fantastic, brilliant boxing brains and mentality and everything.
What's the one piece of advice that's always stuck with you that you've received from Katie in terms of boxing?
I'd say the one piece of advice would be, oh, that's a tough one. Um, she always said just go in and box your fight. I feel like a lot of people go in and this tactic, this tactic, like you're always trying to change your fight compared to who you're fighting. But she always just say, best luck and box the way you can, and that's it. And I think that's actually a great piece of advice. I see so many top level boxers being like, I'm boxing this guy now, I have to change all this. It's like, no, box your fight. You're the one that they should be changing for. And I always, yeah, I remember she said that a few years ago. It stuck that with me. So yeah.
We mentioned earlier how good the first two fights were against Amanda Serrano. Obviously, the trilogy's coming up. Is Amanda Serrano the perfect dance partner for Katie?
I think so. I think they complement each other's styles perfectly. Um, as I said before, the power and kind of the constant trotting along and chasing you and cutting the ring down of Serrano brings the best out of Katie. And I think the speed and the technical ability of Katie brings the best out of Serrano. Because it's like it's more of a war, but it's nearly like a chess game war. I don't. I think the casual see it as a war, but the boxing people and the technical people could see the foot on the outside of the southpaw foot, and I think they just complement each other great. I don't think there's been anyone ever to bring Katie to places that she's never wanted to be like Serrano has, and I think that's the exact same way for Serrano and Katie. Um, I think they both bring each other on perfectly, and I think they're the perfect dance partner. I don't think we'd be seeing a trilogy if they weren't.
In terms of the standard, we've seen such a high standard in the first two fights. And you mentioned a moment ago, quite interestingly, about the advice she gave you in terms of fighting your fight. Do you feel that means heading into the third fight, it's just going to be more of the same? It's going to carry on round 21, essentially.
I think both teams will make adjustments. I don't see them going in exactly the way where I think Katie will stay quite similar to what she did because she won the fight. I think Serrano will change something up. She kind of has to if there's something not working out for her or the judges aren't seeing. Um, so I do think they both will make adjustments, but I do think it'll be quite similar the fight. I think it will kind of start off quite slow and then build into it and then end with a big hurrah nearly and a big last minute push. I don't see much else changing. I think the two girls boxed brilliant the last two fights, so there's not much more you're gonna be seeing, or might be even better with a better atmosphere. But I see small adjustments, but I don't see massive adjustments happening. In the fight.
And just finally, Jake, can I push you for a prediction? How do you think the fight's going to end?
I don't know how it's not end, but I know the way Katie is, she'll do anything to win. I believe Katie will win. I think her sheer will and winning mindset will get her through. And yeah, I don't know how, but she'll find a way.